And boom. I love AMVs and Windbreaker has plenty of amazing highlights, but the anime touched upon a topic that made me question happiness. Therefore, I paused the episode and I noticed that I'm a lot happier since university started, and I feel like I have control over my life. And yeah, Windbreaker helped me get to that conclusion. People that have authority and are powerful, like presidents, leaders, CEOs, mainly people with influence, have one thing in common. People have to listen to them. They have this relative freedom because they have authority. And then there's me. Being the youngest in my family, every time there were arguments, I would just stay away. I would lock myself into the room because nobody wanted to listen to me since I was the youngest. And ultimately that left me isolated, but I knew what was going on in the family for the most part. I just didn't share my opinion at all, and that led me to have zero impact in making decisions. And I felt kinda empty. Now, in my university apartment, I'm writing this script in 2:31 a.m. and I feel both happy and free. So why is that? Well, because I'm just watching high schoolers beat each other in a Japanese anime series, and I was brought back to my high school. I wanted friends, and I wanted to be popular. Yes, I know. I thought of a way how I can fulfill the desire of being able to say something and being heard. I'd always socialize and put myself in positions to be someone who gets to decide, not be the one who gets decided upon. So that went well, and it was only in school though. But then again, returning back home, it was the same old story. 2024, I'm finally able to express myself fully. Therefore, that makes me happy. And with my case, you can also apply this to your life because there's nothing more painful than not being able to express yourself. And the funny thing is that the analogy of freedom in Windbreaker helped me realize the reason why. So Togame is a character that I liked the most in the anime series because not only did he look cool, but he also had an amazing story to tell. You see, he was happy, then his happiness was taken away. But with that, not only did he lose his happiness, he lost all of his freedom. He belonged to the gang that devoted themselves to power. It's called Shishistoren, and their leader is this little cute guy named Choji. And you see, Choji was a happy-go-lucky kid. He was just being around his friends and occasionally he was beating people up. But it all changed when he said this to Togame.
俺、頭取になったんだよね。
うん。
頭取って一番強くて自由なんだよね。
うん。
全然楽しくない。
Right then and there, Togame tries to fix things up but ultimately fails because Choji became delusional. He thought if everyone was as strong as him, he'd be able to be happy, and therefore Togame lost his freedom because he took all the wrongdoings of his friend upon himself. Now, to draw the line between me and Togame, it's kind of obvious. I wasn't in control as he was, but I also didn't face regret like he did. Choji's analogy was power is something you use to become free. And that sounds cool, but because of that, Togame was suffering and became miserable because nobody told them that the freedom comes with unhappiness, at least that kind of freedom. Now I take things this way. If I had to pick a goal, I'd rather be free than happy. Hear me out. Happiness is something that purely depends on itself. Like, what if you're not happy? There's no way you can achieve your goal if that's your goal, right? But when you're free, you can either be happy or unhappy. But he took it a little bit too far. And the worst thing happened with the Shishistoren group because Choji ended up being too free and unhappy instead because his so-called freedom was delusion. What he was missing is the friendships he lost when he was climbing on top of his friends. And nobody else was wanting to compete with him. And that's when I took a look at my happiness. Right now, I'm not home all the time, but I have more authority. Because when I come back home, my family wants to hear my stories and my opinion. Well, sort of. And that makes me happy. Whenever I come back to university, I work on my dreams. and that also makes me happy. Therefore, I just decided to live in my apartment for most of the semester. I have more freedom here. In short, I just set myself up for success. But the real solution to the problem was I created my own happiness unknowingly. And as for Togame, he could have done the same. He could have stopped Choji when he said he was unhappy, even if it means he should fight him. And later he realized that, but it was kind of too late. What I'm trying to say is that give yourself some freedom to do what makes you happy. In Windbreaker, the story actually ends well. Because Umemiya beats Choji, Choji also realized he was in the wrong, and he finally regains happiness because he realized it was his friends, and he still had freedom. You have to think about your own circumstances. Should you move out? Should you start a new job? Should you save up money and try to, live your dream for about a year or two? Despite all of the odds of this video getting serious views, I made it because I loved watching the anime, and the message that the Shishitoren arc had was just something I wanted to share, and this made me happy. I like views, but I love doing what I like doing at the moment the most. And with that, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe to the channel.